Mwasibire muta, mwasibye mutya, amahoro, agandi, Bible, habari gani, muraho, sangonini, kopango, odeo. For those of you who are wondering what that was, these are some of the various local greetings found in East Africa's diverse languages. Welcome to SheCentre, the female podcast, where I dive into the issues and experiences that affect women everywhere. I am your host, Resti Kansime, and I am passionate about creating a safe space for women to share their stories and triumphs. I want to thank you for tuning into my podcast, and I would love for you to join our community and stay connected with us beyond this episode. You can find us on Instagram at _SheCentre_podcast and follow us on Facebook at the SheCentre podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and hit that follow and like button on our social media to be part of the conversation. Welcome back to all my regular listeners and to the new listeners. Today we have a very special guest, Catherine Businge, who represents the resilient and determined spirit of Gen Z. Catherine's journey of overcoming obstacles is an inspiration to us all, as she shares about her transformation from an insecure teenage girl to a confident young adult. Growing up amidst the challenges of adolescence, Catherine experienced the complexities that arise in the relationship between a mother and daughter, and especially in this social media era. We all know about that. These struggles took a toll on her mental health, causing her to question herself and feel like a disappointment to her family. But through her unwavering determination, Catherine tackled her insecurities head on, working hard to change her life for the better. From battling with body image and academic setbacks in boarding school to reaching her lowest point where she contemplated ending her life, Catherine's story is both raw and honest. However, it was her faith that acted as a guiding light and catalyst for change. We thank God for that. Catherine's transformation truly began when she cultivated her faith, finding strength and purpose in her journey, and today, she stands as a shining example of resilience, excellence in various areas of her life. I'm truly honored to call her my niece. Currently, Catherine works as an auditor at KPMG and is pursuing her master's degree. Look at God. Her story will not only inspire you, but also offer valuable insights into navigating the challenges faced by teenagers in today's society. So, without further ado, let's welcome my first Gen Z representative as she shares her transformative journey with us. Enjoy. Hi, Cathy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for making the time to be on the SheCentre platform and podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I have so many questions, but I would like you to be the one to, first of all, you're my first Gen Z representative. So better rep your people really well.
Yes. I'll do my best.
Yes, I'm trying to find a representation of all women, and I feel like the other time I talked to my cousin who is a millennial, and she gave us some really interesting advice as a mom. And I do feel like that our generations, no matter how much we want to feel like we're all in the same boat, we all think differently, we all do things differently. So I would like to get into the mind of our Gen Z. You are, I would say, a special case in my experience. I do believe you are trying to act too mature for your age.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Why?
You try sometimes to act a little bit too mature for your age.
Oh wow.
And that's why I said you're a special case, because there are certain things that I would normally expect from you as your auntie, and
Mhm.
I don't see you do them. And I'm like, how old is this girl? Sometimes I sit down and I'm talking to you and I'm like, are we age mates? Like I even forget how old you are. That's how much that's what I mean by
Oh
you
wow.
don't really, you're not the typical Gen Z.
That's the goal for
So
most aunties to
yes, to be like to have a conversation with someone. So
uh-huh.
yes,
Uh-huh.
I like to start out by asking, tell us a little. Maybe people will judge. The people who are listening will be able to judge. I might not know that much about Gen Zs. I haven't studied them, but maybe the
Uh-huh.
people will be able to judge at the end of this conversation. I would like to ask you to start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, your childhood, growing up, and how you think this has impacted the person that you are right now and how you see the world.
Okay. As I already said, thank you for having me
Yeah,
and thank you for the work that you're doing. God
yeah.
sees you.
Mm,
Um, I'd say I grew up in a huge family with
mm,
a whole lot of love. I have been blessed to have grown up in a home with two parents, two loving parents.
mm,
I was a typical daddy's girl. I,
still
you
are.
know, yeah, I was really cherished by, I am really cherished by my family members.
Mm, mm,
Um, yeah, so I think I grew up in a lot of love. No, not I think, I know I grew up in a lot of love.
mm.
I was an only girl till I think till I was 12. So you know you
Mm.
live in that bubble as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the most interesting. Yeah. Um so yeah, I guess that's how I grew up. I don't
Mm,
recall a time where I was not, I don't know, not myself. People will tell you, my family members, because I guess they know me the most. They'll tell you,
mm,
you were such a stubborn girl, such a, all
mm.
those, yeah, those things. So I was
Yeah.
allowed to be who I was. I'm
Mm,
also a
mm.
crier. Hi, everyone. I cry at every,
Yes. And you're
and
the hype
people feel the
master.
need to announce to announce that you like crying. I'm like, there's no one
Mm.
who likes crying actually, but okay. So
Is it like
yeah,
like happy tears crying or
no,
crying
no, 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 no,
over?
no.
Mm.
Not happy tears crying, crying at not the slightest, but
That change your
most,
crying, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I get
I
it.
used to be.
Like you expected your dad to come in and do everything.
Not
So
even my dad, really. Anyone,
that's
anyone, my
quite interesting.
uncles, anyone.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
But I
okay.
think I'm outgrowing that.
Mm. Do you
So
still
yeah, that was,
cry?
yeah, I do. Crying makes you feel better. That's the thing. Okay,
Yeah, no,
me,
it
I
does help
feel
you release
better. Yeah,
emotions.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
feel better after crying. But of course, sometimes now you have to think about whether after
Mm.
you feel better, things do get better. So sometimes, I rationalize and I'm like, but if I cry, will I still not have to deliver this report tomorrow? Yes, you will.
I
So
know. So how is
why are
crying
you
as an
crying?
adult? I'm interested in finding out, because when you're young, you cry and someone comes to your rescue. But when you're old, like now you're living
I'm
alone and it's like,
describing the process. Yeah. It's
mm,
just like now I have to think about it like, okay, so if I cry,
who is
will it
going to
really
come?
change the situation? Really, will it?
Mm, mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
if
get
it's not
what
going
you're
to change
saying.
the situation, and I know like I still have to do the report, or I still have to do, I don't know.
Mm,
Then either way, I'm just like, let me just save my energy and
mm,
work or whatever it
yeah,
is.
that's
Yeah.
that's quite
So that was,
interesting.
yeah, that was early childhood.
Mm,
When I transitioned into secondary school, I think that
mm,
was probably the uh, worst, darkest time of my life. And it wasn't even,
mm,
it shouldn't have been, but it was.
mm,
So
mm,
I was in a new environment, new school,
mm,
um, and I don't know, Well, there was bullying, but it wasn't even about the bullying. It was more like you had to struggle so much to be seen or to be recognized, that kind of thing. And the problem is that everyone at that age wants to be, recognize what they're doing, what they are probably, if someone is putting in work, they want to be recognized. I think
the
even at
teenage
this age.
age, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit rough. And then I gained so much weight. And then it was a whole cycle of like self loathing, I would say, where you're just not comfortable in your body. And it's not even really it's about you, it's just like the people around you whose opinions matter, So someone is telling you, oh my gosh, you've gained so much weight. Hey, can you even run anymore? That kind of stuff. So for me, I really lost my self-image. I was failing in school, terribly failing, because I was not focused. Like I was just all over the place. So I was failing constantly, in and out, in and out, in and out. I remember there's a time they called my parents and they just asked me like, how did we get here? And even me, I'm just like, I also don't know, because obviously, okay, not obviously, but the school that I was in, you had to have really high marks to have joined. And people, you join on merit, So by the time you're there, there's like an expectation, right?
Yeah.
So here you are with like the best of the best, and then it can really be tough because they're like those kids who are really self-driven from like day one, and then there's you who's So yeah, so I think I really struggled in school. No, not I think I did really struggle in school for the 4 years fully. Which eventually led to my, I would say, failure. Although, people these days don't count it as failure, but I do. Eventually led to my failure in
academically,
school.
you mean, yeah.
Yes, academically. And which for me, at that age again, there's not much you're doing. So again, there's not much you're failing at, right? It's like you're just a child. All you do is go to school. Like, then you go to school and then you're not doing that right. Like the one thing that you should be doing, you're not doing well. So for me, that was a really, really, really dark time for me. I struggled with self-image. I struggled with self-esteem. I really knew the worst about myself. It's around that time as well where you know how moms and daughters are. So yeah, growing up, I was friends with my mom, and then in that teenage age, also she's not understanding you. It's also her first time to be a mom to a teenage girl, so we're all learning on the job, and so I guess I wasn't the nicest to her. So we're just like we're at loggerheads most of the time, and for me, it was just no, it was crazy. It really, really was crazy. But it's so funny that she's the one person who, and I mean the one person who sort of kept afloat. Like she's the one who kept believing in me, I would say. Yeah, like she's the one who would say like, but you need to be serious, by the way. Like you need to, if you're going to pass, you really need to pull up your socks and what. And of course, I didn't want to hear all that. I'm just like, she's just mad at me, or she didn't even understand how school is, or how you get.
Like she has never been through it.
So silly. So my mom is sort of like a high achiever. So I've always viewed her as someone who doesn't really struggle with some things. So in my head, I'm just like, does she even know what it means?
I know. We usually forget that our parents were one.
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
I'm just like, does she even know? Yeah, and then so eventually I do fail, and at that time I really, really, truly, truly felt like everyone deserted me. So I told you how I grew up surrounded in love and
Love,
everything.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't know, at that time it really didn't feel like that. It didn't like, I guess people's actions and everything didn't communicate that expectation that I had. And again, funny enough, or interestingly, it's my mom who was sort of like, okay, you'll get through this. Like now you need to work towards, what you want to be. You've seen now. And I remember she told me like this world actually rewards people who excel academically. And that thing has never left my mind because I always and I've seen it. It's sad. It shouldn't be what happens, but it's what happens. Like
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
if you notice, like people who excel in school usually have life going better for them.
yeah. And yet it shouldn't be.
Even
Yeah,
yeah, it shouldn't be about that because I mean there's so much more
yeah,
about human beings than just school. And not everyone is really cut out for school. That's also another thing. Like the people who
definitely.
now have successful businesses,
And
which
they quit
people
school.
who studied in would
Yeah,
never,
that's
you
true.
know,
That's true. Yeah.
people who really studied and excelled would never build the empires that people who, have businesses build. So anyway, yeah, she told me that. And I decided to like explore that for myself. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I need to catch myself. But yeah, that's it. So that was S4, end of S4. And then because I had failed, I had to change school.
I have
I
a
guess
quick
to a
question. Is
mm,
failing meaning like you completely failed, or you failed according to your standards and what you could have done? Because I know in many cases someone can fail because they're in second grade and like they expected
mhm,
more of them, or because the school they
mhm,
went
mhm,
to is like a high
mhm,
achievers
mhm.
school. But
Yes, I think that's it.
do you
Mm.
think like your failing was for, okay, I didn't get what I should have gotten because of the fact that because of everything that was going on, or did you actually like really fail in terms of you performed bad?
Okay, so um, as I mentioned, there was an expectation because of the school I had gone to, and like everyone who would go through that school would pass, right?
Yeah,
Pass
yeah.
highly. Okay, let me say pass highly. Yeah, so when I say I failed, I guess according to those standards, but also according to what I could have done, right? Because then you can, I don't want to say you can compare, but you can benchmark from people who entered, let's say, with the same marks as you did. So
Yeah.
if I entered maybe with a 4 or a 5, you can benchmark other people who entered with 4 or 5, because then that means that you have the same,
Yeah.
okay, averagely the same capabilities or
Yeah.
capacities to pass. So when you compare with those people, then you would see that there was a gap. Yes, there was a gap, both in what I could have done or
Yeah.
what I know I could have done, but also for the school that I went to. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. So moving
Yes.
on to HSC.
So yeah, so that was S4. Um, let me see. That's S4. And then in S5 I had to change school because now I could not meet the requirements of the school that I was in. So I went to another good school actually. Um, and this was a whole new experience because now this was a mixed school. The school that I had gone to before was single sex. This is a mixed day school. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it was quite different. But right before I had gone to that school, I had actually accepted Christ to be my Lord and Savior. And that for me was the turning point actually. Because right before I accepted him, I had attempted, or I was thinking about, let me see, what's that when I was thinking about? I was thinking about taking my own life. And I know you know this story because it's funny enough, it was you who talked to me It was you who
And
talked to me in
interestingly,
that moment, and
I
you
didn't
don't
know.
remember.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
you.
know what you like. I didn't know what you were going through when we were talking about this. But
Yes,
that
yes.
from the moment, I think it was 2 years ago when you told me,
Mhm, mhm,
and it's something that hit me so hard because
mhm.
I was like, you never really know what someone is going through. Because for me, I was just talking
Yeah,
to a teenager who was
yeah.
just someone I felt like, yeah, I just need to tell them, oh, I feel fat. You're what? No, you're beautiful. You're this, and I didn't know that this was something that was weighing heavy on you. I was
Yeah,
taking it
yeah,
lightly, but we have
yeah.
to be really. It showed me that we have to be intentional with the conversations
Yes,
that we have, and when someone says they're struggling with something, we
yeah,
have to really know that it could be worse than what we are
yeah,
imagining.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's absolutely true. So what led to that is I generally felt like I was failing in everything, and not just
Mm,
academics, which was quote unquote
mm,
my main job,
mm,
but also basically like at home, because you're in a bad place, so you're always fighting with everyone. You know, um,
mm,
I
mm.
had gained so much weight as I had mentioned, so
That was in
I was
S4
also always
or
someone to be.
that was in
That was in
S4?
S4. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
I was always someone to be picked on, hey,
mm.
but for you, you're always getting, hey, you're so fat, you're so,
And
those
this was
things
from
that
people
no
at
one really wants
school
to hear.
or
Even at home, even at
mm,
home, even at
mm,
home. And I realized in Africa, people easily talk about your weight they are not saying it as seriously as you think they are.
yeah,
I
yeah.
realize that, yeah, like
Mm,
someone will tell you that probably because they think you have bad eating habits, or
mm. Tough
probably because
love.
you need to exercise. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
often tough love, but you're not going to be seeing it like that.
Yeah.
For you,
Yeah.
you just think that everyone is against you, and the
Yeah.
schemes of the evil one as we know them.
Yeah.
So yeah, at that point I just felt like, I'm not good for anything, literally not good for anything. And
Mm,
I just, so I was actually talking to people. I had actually written like a little will and everything. And so I'm talking to
wow.
people. Yeah, I found it sometime. Hey, I was so scared.
I
As a
can
Christian I
imagine.
am now.
I know.
I'm
I
just like,
can
what was going
imagine.
on? What was
Yeah.
going on? Yeah, I had this in a book, and I had even mentioned people. And so I had a close friend of mine who is called Ivy. She still is my close friend, who was like a voice of reason.
Mm,
And she kept on talking to me, shout out to Ivy. She kept on talking to me, you need to get out of it. And it was actually the same thing, funny enough, consistent with what all the people were telling me. But the reason I sought her out was because I thought that probably these old people don't understand me
mm, mm,
as
mm.
much. Like, they're old people, for example, they are
Yeah.
paying your school fees. Of course,
Yeah.
they're going to
They're
tell you
like a
to be
hundred
serious in
years.
school. Yeah, like, please be serious. Like, that's their money. Of course, you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, that was bread and
Yeah.
butter. So I'm
We
like,
do
let
forget
me
we
just
were
speak
once
to.
teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mm,
let me just speak to Ivy, who is not paying my school fees, so she probably has no interest in this. She
yeah.
gains nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's telling me, but you need to be serious. You need to. Yeah, so it's around that time, after I had tried to take my life and after I had spoken to you, that I said, you know what? I realize in my own strength, I'm really not going to do this.
Mm,
I failed. You're failing badly and bitterly. And so I
mm.
decided, let me go for camp. There's a camp I had been begging my parents to go for like 4 years.
Is it the
Eventually,
KFC?
that year,
Is it TFC camp?
yes, it was an All Saints camp. I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was even
The,
called, but yeah,
the
one
one
of their
that's
camps.
the one that happens at the end of the year, is it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's the
yes, that
TFC
very
camp.
one.
I also
Mm-hmm.
used to beg my mom to take me to that, but I never went. I
Hey,
was
did you
already in the
mention
village.
I was a daddy's girl, but my dad was strict.
Yeah, yeah.
He would not let me. Oh my goodness.
Mm,
And my mom just let her go. No, no,
yeah.
no, no, no. So eventually, I don't know, that year God was intentional about me attending, so he let it
Mm,
happen. So that time he allowed. So I
mm,
went to the camp, and I just had like a whole everything like began to make sense, and how and the role we play as Christians in our lives, and what God is doing, his mission and everything. So I did give my life to Christ, and now purpose to move in a different direction, on total and full dependence on him. And I'd say that has been going well, because I know in my strength, hey, I'm just too weak. So for me, yeah, that was a turning point. So A level happened. It was nice. It was different, but it was nice. I really honestly enjoyed the school that I went to. It was really lovely. Yeah, it was nice.
How was the
I did
transition for
fall
you
sick.
to mixed school?
Okay, so initially in my S5, I was still, I guess, dealing with the self-image and blah 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 that happened, because obviously it doesn't happen overnight. So I was dealing with that, and I remember, you know how in S5 you want to look like snatched, and like they give people like skirts, and people want to fit them, and you
I know,
guys,
like you have arrived.
eh. Do you know I never did any of that stuff? I wore my uniforms how they were given to me. The school that I went to, we had to cut our hair every so often. I would cut
Oh,
my hair before being told. Bald. You know how weird that is for girls. It was so strange. Bald. I didn't care what people thought. Like, I was just so out of touch. Like, I would move, I don't know, with like the hugest shirt. Meanwhile, that like my two friends, because I really only made like 2 or 3 friends in that school. My 2 friends who we were all new with had like really snatched skirts, and then they're small, and then me, I'm like the big one, and I just don't care. Yeah. I really, really did not care. Which
was
is
it
so
like
funny to see me right now.
you had just I know, right? Could it be like you had just like, you know what, at that point accepted this is my body, or was it
Yeah. I was just like, you know what, this is me. Like, at
I
the end
can't
of the
do
day,
anything?
I
Yeah.
can't be the one to fight myself. Like,
Yeah.
there has to be someone who believes in me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's
me, I'm
true.
just like, you know what, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. And then in Form 6, I got really sick. I got migraines. So those were really detrimental, I can say. But I guess, in hindsight, I see why. Okay, not I see why, but I see how that helped me. So I got the migraines, and part of okay, so migraines can't really be healed or whatever, but they can be managed. So part of managing the migraines included a change in diet, included a bit of I'd say counseling here and there. And so for me now, that's when I began to do the work because of a sickness. Meanwhile, that's when I began to do the work. That's when I changed my diet, started gymming, because the migraines are really, really painful, by the way.
And
And
moreover
however
in
much
school
you
it must be
cry
hard.
or you
Yeah.
do what,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, and it's like pain for like 3 to 4 days. I just, mm-mm. I couldn't be the one now choosing to be in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did start gymming and all those things, and so eventually I got into a better headspace.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I did, and of course, you know how your body is like one unit, so it works together for you. So
Yeah.
because I was in a better space, then I was even better,
Mentally,
physically,
yeah.
mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, and all those
Yeah.
things. So yeah, I guess that's how I did change. I so because of the migraines, I guess I didn't perform badly, but I didn't perform well. But I was okay with it because I had been so sick the whole year. I was fine with what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that was Form 6. Then fast forward to campus. That's when I really got serious about God. I mentioned I got saved, but I wasn't like so serious. Yeah, but I got serious in my S6 vacation. We did a few programs at church that were talking about being ready for college. So
Yeah.
there was that. And yeah, we just purpose really as a group of like young people to be serious in this life,
Yeah. And you
and
had
to,
like
yeah,
community to help you.
yes, to keep
Mm.
you accountable. That
Yeah.
was really special.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I joined campus. I excelled at it.
You really
I
excelled.
did, I did, by the grace
Yeah.
of God, of course. I
Yeah.
did. I also did ACCA,
Mm.
which I also
You
luckily excelled at.
excelled like high. Jesus. I don't know how
Yeah,
excelling.
that
Excelling
has
is not a
been.
word. Is there a word that's better than excelling? You are the
I
goat.
don't know. I really don't know.
You are
Yeah,
the
that was
goat.
really really nice.
Second best in Africa.
Yes,
In what?
in the country, second
In
best
the
in the
country.
country,
In
and
the
then
country.
97
In the
in the
whole.
whole world.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was
that was
I
really
was like,
nice.
I posted you, and I remember posting you in my status, and
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I have a friend I met from
Mm-hmm,
church. She's
mm-hmm,
teaching SCCA
mm-hmm.
in Asia. So she's in Asia.
Okay.
Like we met on a global church, and
Mm.
she saw that post and she was like, "Wow, your niece." She was like, I'm teaching this class, and it's not an easy class. So if your niece
Mm-hmm,
managed to
mm-hmm,
get this score, then
mm-hmm,
wow." I was like,
mm-hmm.
and that was just last year,
It's
right?
just, yeah,
Yes.
it was just last year.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
that was, I think for me, and speaking to Ivy after she actually was telling me, I hope now you have proven to yourself that you
Mm.
are able to, and it's
You are.
just
It
the
was always in
circumstances
you.
around.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Very true.
always was. And for
Yeah.
me, yeah, that made a lot of sense because I mean, it had been a tough one
Yeah.
yeah.
And you really
So
put in the work. It's not that you just did it. You really did put in the work.
I really did.
Yeah. You really
I
did put in
did,
the work.
but God was gracious, and SCC is
Mm.
the kind of course that even when you put in the work, you can really still
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
You really
Yeah.
can.
That's
You
true. Yeah.
really truly can. So for me,
Mm.
I just know that that was just a special gift
Mm.
from God, and I'm super grateful for that. Yeah.
Mm.
So that I guess is a wrap
Yeah. That
about it.
yeah.
I don't know if there's anything I've left out. Yeah, not
Yeah, I think
left out.
I can just pick on there's something I wanted you to kind of maybe explain a little bit more. You talked about
Mm,
the time when you were going through, because I know as a teenager, and
mm,
mostly now, I know in your generation it's even
mm,
worse because there's social media, there's a lot of pressure which some of us didn't have when we were growing up. Like the worst we could do is, you do something and no one knows about it, and people talk
uh-huh,
in
uh-huh.
school and no one is on Facebook. But you guys now have this whole
Mhm,
image thing. There are
mhm.
filters, there is this and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
like
yeah,
we've
yeah,
grown up
that's
in a
true.
really sad
Mm-hmm.
generation, which in my
Mm.
opinion, I'm like, thank God I wasn't born in this generation. So I do
True.
understand how something like that could be very heavy on a
Mm,
teenager. And
mm,
also, I think it's quite normal for our parents not to really understand us, or we
mm,
think they don't understand us, because
mm,
there's always they say the relationship between a parent, like a mother, mostly a mother and
mm-hmm,
her daughter, is always
mm-hmm,
the worst, because you just feel like she doesn't get me, and for her she's like, how do I show her that I've been through what
mm-hmm,
she's been through? Like, let
mm-hmm,
me
mm-hmm,
help you, but you don't want to. So you mentioned how that tough time led you to get to a point where you were like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Was this thought
mm.
in school or was it at home?
It was so again when that should have been in S4 when
Mm,
I just generally felt like everyone had deserted me. Like all
mm,
the people who were my gangos
mm,
were not like everyone, like because results in this country of ours, results come out like on one day, and
mm.
everyone knows that day, right? So everyone is asking what you got, and everyone knows what you got, right?
In S4, yeah, in
So
the, yeah,
yes, yeah, yeah. Even in P7, even S6,
yeah. Mm,
everybody knows. And so when I roll back to how people reacted after my P7 results, People were happy. People
I
called me.
know.
People gave me money. People, you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And I know that
Yeah.
people, because
Mm,
that's not the kind of stuff like you want to forget. I know that
mm,
people.
mm,
So then, fast forward to like S4,
mm,
nobody called me, right?
mm,
Nobody. No. It's not accurate that nobody called me. My grandparents called me,
mm,
and they really were the only people who called me to say, you
mm,
know what, congratulations, well done, you
mm,
did your best. Given the
mm.
circumstances, we know you did your best. And of course, for them, they don't even know, like, Ati, you are having, I don't know, some self-image
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your school, or
Yeah.
I don't know, you were bullied. Like, they don't really know that much detail, but they trust
Mm,
that you did your best,
mm,
and that has to be good enough. And
mm.
so for me, that whole time, like I told you, I grew up in a big family. So I knew the
Yeah.
people, I guess, who I should have maybe expected to reach out to me or that kind of thing.
Mm,
Nobody did. Nobody even reached out to say, like,
mm,
sorry,
mm,
apart from my
mm.
grandparents. So my grandparents called me. They even Bambi sent me money.
Wow.
They sent me money. Yeah, I know. They're the
Grandparents are
sweetest.
special.
They're the sweetest.
I
They sent
know.
me money, you know, congratulations, la 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 la. Let me see who else reached out. I sent my mom my results, and I think I she called me when I was crying. I think she called me when she was crying, and when I was crying, sorry, and she said, you know, you don't want to put yourself in this situation again, so let me come home and let's
Mm,
talk about it. So when she came home, that's when we were talking, and she was telling me, this world, this is how the world is. I know you don't
mm,
want to believe it. I know you want us to. I mean, I know you want people to just take you for who you are, and that's the
mm,
ideal. But
mm,
the world will reward people who are serious. It will reward people who are
mm,
academically excelling. It will reward people who, that kind of thing. And so, and I'm telling her, like, but I'm failing. Like, it's not that I'm even not trying. Sometimes
mm.
people, I don't know, parents think that some kids go to school and they're just like,
Let
that's
me
not
just
usually
let me
the
just
case. Some people are
fail.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who wants to. But I'm
Yeah.
not able to, right? And so that's
Mm,
when she was saying, no, you need to. I don't know how you're going to do it, yeah, but you need to see how to make it happen.
mm,
Yeah, and it wasn't even this kind of thing of like, because I'm paying your school fees, I want you to pass.
mm.
No, it was just
Yeah.
a genuine concern of like someone who has probably gone ahead of you, and they
Mm,
know, you get,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
know. And for me, that time I was just like, you know what? At the end of the day, this is the one person who has believed in me. This is the
Mm,
one person, like even in this bad time. And I
mm,
remember she told me, you'll see the people who you'll see your people. And
mm,
so for me, because I know that like now I'm really thinking like, okay, first of all, she had nothing to benefit at that moment. Like I had already failed. You get,
mm,
there
mm,
was really nothing to collect,
mm,
but she was still wishing well for me, right? So I
mm,
just said, considering what she's saying, I think what she's saying is true. I just don't know how to do it.
mm,
So yeah, so incidentally, I did go for the camp, and then I saw that Christ is the way.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that yeah, that did
So
happen.
was it in this period of the S4 after the results came out where you felt like, you know what, maybe I should consider taking my life, or was it before the exams of S4?
So it was right after the that day was action packed, I should say. It was
Mm,
really action packed, and funny enough, I remember it exactly how it happened. So results came out like at about 11 a.m.
mm, mm.
11 a.m. So all this is unraveling. Probably so people get off work like what 5 p.m.
5, yeah,
So this
5.
conversation that I had with her
Mm,
was maybe like what 6 p.m.
mm.
But I had tried to take my life at around 3 p.m.
Before she
Yeah,
came.
at around 3 p.m.
Mm,
Before she came,
mm,
because I remember I cried so much, and I cried and I cried and I cried, and I was just like, but what is this life really? Like I
mm,
know people think that I like to cry, which I don't, but
mm,
like yeah. So that was at around 3 p.m. And
mm,
I guess I'd been crying from like what 11 when they came out. So yeah, 11 to 3 was
Were
the
you home
time.
alone that day?
Yes, I was. I was in Expo vacation, so I was home.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm glad that
yeah,
you managed to pull yourself, like, to get out of there, and that you didn't do that, because then you wouldn't have met the you that you are right now.
yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah. You wouldn't.
I
It's.
wouldn't.
I
I
think
wouldn't.
this speaks so much to people. They don't see
Mm,
their potential. They say, say whether Christianity or if someone is not a Christian,
mm-hmm,
we don't
mm-hmm,
see our potential. We just see the circumstances around us, and they
mm-hmm,
consume us. They kind of like build our perspective, and it
mm-hmm,
just says, no
mm-hmm,
one loves me, no one cares about me. And in that moment, maybe
mm-hmm,
they're just trying to punish you for failing, maybe, or
mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm.
don't
That's true.
know exactly.
Yeah.
And all you
Mm-hmm,
can perceive it as is, no one cares about me, no one loves me, I don't need to be
mm-hmm,
here. But the
mm-hmm,
thing is, even if you failed and failed the second one and failed the third one and failed the fifth one,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
people will still be there for you. They'll be disappointed, but they'll
Mm.
still be there for
Yeah,
you, and they'll
yeah,
still love you. And that's one thing I
yeah.
think I'm glad that you pushed forward, and you made the decision to say, you know what, let me just give it a try and see. And
Mm.
wow, now excellence all the way. Yeah, so tell us,
Yeah.
thank you so much for talking about that, because I do know
Mm,
that even if people don't get to that point where they want to take their life, many people get stuck in this season of failure.
mm,
Like
mm.
one bad time or season does
Mhm,
not dictate
mhm.
your whole life,
Yeah.
because you can fail at school but excel
Mhm,
at business.
mhm. Yeah,
You can fail at
yeah.
school but excel at being a musician, you
Even
know
at being,
an
yeah.
actress, or there's so many things that are in
Mhm,
you. And I
mhm,
believe this is what they taught you in church, that there's so
mhm,
many things that are in you,
mhm,
some
mhm,
things that
mhm.
just
Yeah,
not for you. Like, there are people
yeah.
who, even if they study how much, they
Mhm.
fail. In your case, it was
Yes,
different. It
yes.
was because maybe they had seen how you had performed before, and they were like,
Mm.
yeah, we know she can do better. But there are some people who P7 30,
Yeah.
PS4, like worse. And then right now,
Mhm,
you look at their life and you're like, wait, wasn't this the person in school who we all made fun of?
mhm,
And right now they are
mhm, mhm,
successful. They just
mhm.
didn't learn well. And I think that's the problem with the
Yes.
education system back home, that kind of rewards excellence and
Yeah.
academics and not character. Some people are just
Yeah.
funny. Like,
Yeah.
your sense of humor should be the thing that God created you for, and that's what you're going
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
become
Uh-huh.
famous for and make your money for.
Mhm.
Make you, and then they're hiring people like like you, who are excelling in school, and saying, yeah, come
To
do my
come
accounting.
and you know,
Exactly.
and you
So
know,
yeah,
you
I
know.
think for our parents, their
Mhm,
generation, if you didn't
mhm,
excel, like, to be honest, my mom used to tell us, because she didn't finish school. She was like,
mm,
I didn't manage to finish school, and this is the reason why I've been
mm,
struggling. You need
mm,
to put academics.
mm.
They say in
Yeah.
Africa, masters. If you don't have a masters, your parents
Mm,
are like, no, we still expect more from you. That's something. But
mm.
now, in this era that we are seeing, those things are
Yeah.
not necessary.
Yeah. And you know, it's so funny.
Mm.
There's a few people who pictured me actually when I did fail, and it was so weird. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Anyway, bless her heart. So I went to school. So there's this whole thing called like benching, where if you haven't performed as you should,
Mm.
you can go and try to, I don't know, use some sort of goodwill, like, oh, I was here, I promise I'm going to do better, that kind
Mm,
of
mm,
thing.
mm,
And so I went, I didn't even want to, but anyway, someone pushed me to go. So I went to bench, right? And I remember someone said clearly, very clearly, I remember, I think that at that point she had passed.
mm.
And she said, so with these kinds of marks, you actually want to come back here.
In
And
this
I was
school.
just like, uh-huh. And I was
Wow.
like, what? What? With this, she's like, with this kind of marks, you want to come back here? And I remember a cousin of mine was crying because she had realized that I was not going to make it to the school. So we were in the school together. She's
Mm.
actually not my cousin, she's my aunt. But anyway, she was sad because she had realized that, things were not going to work out as probably we would have hoped.
Yeah.
And so she's crying. And then this friend of hers comes and tells her, like, why are you even crying? Like, you know what she got. Like, of course she's not going to
Wow.
be
So
able, you
so it's
get.
not only the parents and the teachers who think like this, like even the
Yes,
students
yes,
think like this. Wow.
yes, yes, of course they
Wow.
did. And I was just like, when did we get here? Like, oh my goodness. I remember someone, and she said that to me. That was in S4, And fast forward, you know how God does these things. Fast forward, we are like in what? In campus or something. And I meet her, and I know she's forgotten what she said. Of course, I have not. But her, she's forgotten because she meets me. Actually, we were in campus. I think I was in my internship. And we meet like in a restaurant or something. And she's so happy to see me. And I'm just like, okay, okay. And then she's like, hi, how are you? Where are you now? And so I mentioned where I am. And she's like, oh my gosh, for real? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so where are you? I'm like, so where are you? Just trying to keep the conversation going. I'm like, where are you? And then she tells me she's like in some other university. Then I'm like, huh? And she's like, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to pass in school. I was just like, the Lord should hold me because the Lord should hold me, lest I end up here a few years later, I'm just like, really, like,
it's quite easy in that moment to be like, you used to think.
I was just like, this is God showing me, like, if I just continue to be proud, this is where I'm going. Because I was just like, what? Like, because she pressed really highly that time when I failed, and so so for me, I guess
can never
lesson
know.
is to just
you can never really know. Like performance is not based on the person's like effort. Sometimes it's what's happening in their lives. And I think, and what you said is really interesting because, like, for schools right now, I am 100% sure that when you grow up and succeed into something, your school that really say, with these grades, will you come back? They will claim you. They will be like,
they will.
Catherine Businge, our alumni, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Kumbe, they did not believe in you when you failed. And that's the funny thing about schools which are based on like high performance. They wait for you to succeed in life, and then they will be like, oh yeah, we are the ones who contributed to this. No, you didn't. You didn't care about me when I was
exactly when I was
on the
lowest.
My god.
Oh my gosh. And I keep telling my friend, like, it used to bother me a lot. Like, so many people are just like, I'm so proud of you, I'm so happy for you. And I'm just like, where were you when I didn't hear this?
Exactly.
Like,
you didn't
why didn't you just tell me this just like 4 years ago? Do you know how much that would have taken me? And then now here you are telling me how you always believed in me. No, bye. Just no.
I know. Yeah, that's really good. And I think
so people want you when you are succeeding.
That's true. Yeah, it is true. And to be honest, it's quite a stupid thing. I do know that academics is good and all that stuff, but we have to also see the bigger picture. Like, when someone has not performed well and yet they should be performing well, ask yourself what's happening. How, like, as a school, they should be thinking, if one of our top performers is not performing well, why? Like, that's their role, to help you deal with whatever you're going through, and not just reward just when you perform well. But I think that speaks too much to this. So that's something. Did you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, you had mentioned how that has impacted I guess the way I'm living my life now. I think that one of and the thing, I'm really proud of it, by the way. I am more alert to people like that. So when I see someone who has passed, or maybe, like, let's say in our family, someone has passed, I'm not too keen to, okay, of course I will celebrate them, but I'm more keen to look out for the people who are not doing well, people who are not, like, now my heart goes out for them. And I think that I had to go through that thing for God to, I guess, cultivate the heart of caring in me. So now I'm more I'm more attentive. Yeah, I think that's the word. I'm more attentive to the, why is she acting like this? Why is she acting out? Why is she,
Yeah.
when
I
people are
remember us
talking
having
about
this
someone's weight, I'm
conversation.
just like, come on, just don't. Just like, can
Yeah.
you just let her be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone tell you, oh, I was feeling so bad, but thank God and so me, I'm just like, thank God we've caught it before,
Yeah.
before someone is, I mean, people don't have to go all the way down. If I
Yeah.
if
At
I
least just
reach
that
there,
one
yeah,
voice, like you said, your friend Ivy
yeah,
helped you through it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very good. And I think in many
Mm,
cases, like I know in the Bible it says everything happens for a reason, and like
mm,
God, it works all in our favor. And
mm,
but even if you're not a Christian, it's usually the most empathetic people and the people who end up helping, that giving
mm,
that heart of love and
mm.
compassion. It's usually people who have been through something. Like
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
have, for instance, been a drug addict, or I
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
I've done this. Like I used to drink a lot when I was at the
Mm.
university, and I
Yeah,
stopped.
I
I
heard in
stopped.
the
I stopped
episode.
drinking. I stopped
Mm.
drinking, but it's because I was dealing with something. But like you now,
Yeah.
me on my end, everyone was complaining about how tiny I was.
Mm.
Because I was
Mm.
like this tiny. I wasn't eating much. I was spending most of my money
But
on
you've
drinking.
always been a hottie though. But okay.
Let's just leave
You
those. I
like
was
you
like tiny in that sense of every time someone met me, like my aunties, my
mm.
mom, like they were just praying for me, and like
Like
this
to
girl,
just
she needs help. She like eat food or stuff like that. But I was
mm,
dealing with social anxiety at school. Like it's
mm,
like,
mm.
I'd never been to a mixed school. I went to a mixed school, and people are looking at you a
Yeah.
certain way. People are bullying you.
Yeah.
So it
Yes,
affected
I
me
did
so
hear
much. I
that.
ended up
Mm.
like finding myself in that drinking stage. But when I
Mm.
stopped, right now, when I hear, like, I am those people who I don't care who you are, my mom, my dad, I don't care. I
Mm.
don't appreciate when people judge people who are struggling with alcohol or people who are
Yeah.
struggling with certain things. Like, I would fight you to the
It
nail. If
annoys
someone,
you.
yeah,
Exactly.
like, I'm like, if
Exactly.
someone
Yes.
is drinking and someone is blacked out, don't say this person, they have given up, and they're like, no, what is
Yeah.
happening in their life? Like,
Yes.
it's easy for
Yes.
me right now
Yes.
to be like,
Don't to
they
protect
haven't been
them.
like
Yeah.
this before. Something has happened. It's easy for me
Yes.
to
Yes.
explain it, to see a
Absolutely.
bigger picture and be like, it
Yes.
could be because of this. It like I really tried to be empathetic to
Yeah.
people right
Yes.
now. And
Yeah.
I think in many cases I'm like, if I had never gone through that, like my mom doesn't drink.
Mm.
Like she literally doesn't understand hangover. She doesn't understand hangover. She doesn't understand all those things. So for her, when
Lord.
she sees someone drunk, she's just thinking,
Mhm.
this person, like, what are they
You're not.
thinking?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get, like, who forced you to go and
Like they're
drink?
not
Like, who
serious.
pushed the alcohol down your throat? And in my mind, I'm like, mommy, people drink for so many other
Oh
reasons,
my gosh.
like there are
Yes.
things that are
Yes.
pushing them to that point. So
Yes.
it has
Yes.
made me a defender of like,
Mm.
I'm always in the gap fighting for people
I'm
like
telling
that.
you, I'm always
Yeah.
fighting, especially people like, in Africa, it's like a greeting.
Mm.
Someone will see you before they actually
Yeah,
even
you've
say
gained
like,
weight.
hello, they say like, you've gained weight. You've lost weight.
Have you
You,
eaten a cow?
I'm just, you know, can you run? Can you? And you see, I realize, and why even I
Mm.
fight it is because I realize that it's not even, there's no win-win situation. Like even when you lose weight, now these days,
Mm.
because I guess of my, I don't know, work patterns or whatever, I
Mm.
lost a lot of weight.
Now they're
Even now, people
complaining.
see me, now they're complaining. Oh
Yeah,
my
you're
gosh,
so
you're
small.
so small. Are you eating? Well,
It's like,
and so I just realized like
what should I do
there's
to
no
make you
winning.
guys
There's
happy?
no perfect set. There's no like
True.
whatever I do, I know I'm going to just I'll be falling short. So now
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear anyone saying like, I always tell people like, it's not a greeting, right?
Yeah.
Are you aware?
Yeah.
Hey, and then people
That
are like,
just
hey,
shows.
Cathy,
Yeah.
Cathy. And I'm
You
just
just
like,
have
no,
to love yourself.
can you just not talk about someone's weight? Come on.
I
Hey,
know. Yeah.
like someone has just given birth. She's really, I'm just like, what?
I
Someone
know.
has just brought another, oh Lord.
Human being.
Anyway,
Yeah. That's very true. Thank you so much for like that. That's a very interesting topic. Like if you don't love yourself and you really expect other people's opinions to matter in your life, even your parents are going to let you down. Like you're literally going to because everyone is thinking differently. Society has taught us that we have to look at someone and judge. It doesn't
Yes.
matter, like right now,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether you've
Yeah.
excelled in school, whether you have the
That's
best
true.
job or you're a boss. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not the right size, that's a problem,
Mm-hmm.
which like people always have
And
to
it's going to be
find
a very
something
big
to pick
one.
up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 That's very true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so Cathy, just before we conclude, just tell us a little bit about your journey right now, your career of
Mm.
choice. Just before we started recording, you were telling me how you just want to study everything. It's like I am the master of all education. Are
No,
you
my
paying those guys
God.
back? Like
Jack
you
of
want to
all
go
trades.
you want to go back to school and be like, here is that degree, here is that degree. Eh? You guys, the haters, you know that song
Oh
of
my
they thought I won't make it. Eh? What a SCCA, have this masters, have this. Like you guys thought like
Oh
is
my
that
goodness.
what's your drive? Because I personally
Okay.
like I love your drive in academics. Like I don't understand it. Every time I'm talking to my sister, she's like, I'm like, oh yeah, Cathy finally graduated. I'm texting Cathy, she's not responding to me, and Amy is like, that girl is doing some course, some this, some this. And I'm like, when is this going to come to an end? Like, what is your drive?
Oh my goodness.
What is just share with us, what's your drive? Is it the have you noticed that in your career and in your
Mm,
generation, like there is a requirement for all these other like extra knowledge? Because I know knowledge is power. I know in
it
our
is.
world,
It is.
like the more you
Mm,
expand your academic like brain, I don't know how to call it, like the more
mm,
things you
mm,
know or study, no
mm,
matter how basic
mm,
it might be, I do know that it gives
mm,
you higher chances in the global world, like internationally.
mm,
So tell us a little bit about that, because I know there are so many girls out there who are trying to juggle life, because you're really
mm-hmm.
young and you basically have a life of like your mom or something like that. Like your life is so busy. How do you balance
Yeah,
this
it
with,
really is.
yeah, how do you balance
Okay,
this?
so okay. I think I mentioned after S6 I was sick, so I performed, I guess, averagely.
Mm,
So initially I had wanted to do architecture
mm,
or accounting, but accounting
mm,
was more of like the side, like the side
mm.
hustle.
Yeah.
So when I was not able to get into the ACC school, I guess because
Mm,
of my grades,
mm,
I was offered accounting, right?
mm,
So accounting is something that I've done since then. It's not that I didn't want to do it, it just wasn't my
mm,
first option, but I'm okay with it now.
mm,
Um, it has been relatively easy, I think, for me.
mm,
Um, Not to say that I don't put in the work or the effort, but I think it makes sense to me. Yeah.
mm, mm.
My parents are accountants, both of them, so probably
It's a gene.
that's why.
It's in your genes.
No, apparently it's not a gene because it's not with my other siblings. But anyway, I think that
Mm,
that's why for me it makes a lot of sense. Not even
mm,
just career wise, but like in my head, honestly, the
mm,
things that we studied in school make a lot of sense to me.
mm,
So
mm,
yeah, so I did that accounting, and then I started out with accounting, and then my mom encouraged me to do SCCA.
mm.
So I mean, I should have waited for school to end and then
You
started the
did.
SCCA or gotten a few exemptions and then done
Mm,
probably a few
mm,
papers. But she said, just do them. It doesn't really hurt
mm.
to do them. We shall pay for
Co-curricular
you.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember it's so funny. I remember even when I was starting SCCA,
Mm,
I'm sorry, Dad, but yeah, he was like, my dad was like, but will Cathy handle that thing? And my mom was like, gosh, what do you mean will she handle? She has to handle, you
mm,
know? And my dad was like, the way she's been sick and what,
mm,
I don't think she should do. Like it's a lot of
mm.
stress and then she already has school. I guess
Yeah.
that was his
You were in
concern,
your
you know?
final year, yeah, at the university.
And not really. I was in my second year, 2 out of 3
Oh,
anyway.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So my dad is like, I don't think she should do it. And I was like, let her try, let her try. And I set out to prove to him that I could do it,
You were
you
like,
know.
let me
I
show
was just
you.
like, what? Excuse me? I got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
Daddy, here we are.
this year was interesting when I got the award, and I needed him to be right next to me, and I
And you're
reminded
like,
him. But
I want to
yeah,
thank
I'm
you for
accepting what
doubting
you
me.
said. So yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
I like
but
that.
yeah, that was just that's to prove him
Mm,
wrong. So that was the ACCA. So I
mm,
did that. I finished because I was doing it concurrently with school and work. I work at
mm.
a global professional services firm, one of the big four. So because I was doing both of them
Tell us the farm.
together with
Tell us,
school.
tell us, tell us.
Oh wow. I work at KPMG Uganda, but my views are my views.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Everyone who works
So
in their company is like, we are the best, we are the biggest, we are the big four, big six.
no,
But
but
anyways,
it
yeah,
is.
it is the truth.
It
It is
is
the truth. Yes,
among them.
yes.
Yeah, so I worked there from like my internship
And they
to
retained you.
until now. Yeah, Bambi they
Mm,
did until now. Yeah, so I was doing school. I mean
mm,
like my bachelor's,
mm,
then my internship, and then um ACCA as well. So it was a
mm,
bit much to juggle, but I
mm,
guess again, if all you're doing is school and
mm,
work, because in
mm,
my university we used to study like 4 hours a day, so I had the rest of the day. So
mm,
I just tried to fit those into it.
mm,
Then that's the ACCA is a UK qualification, but it's a global qualification.
mm,
But I also had to do one of Uganda.
mm.
So when you've done
So
SCCA in
LCCA, but
Uganda,
in Uganda. Mm,
no, it's like a qualification, but for
mm,
Uganda, it's called
okay.
CPA.
Ah,
So
yes,
once you've
yes,
done
yes, yes. I've
SCCA,
heard of it.
yes. So once you've done SCCA, basically to be registered in Uganda as an accountant,
Mm,
you need to do the CPA.
mm,
So when you've done the SCCA for the full level, you
mm,
do just 2 papers of CPA. So I
mm,
did one in June, and then now I
mm,
have one to do in November.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Then
Okay.
then after I finish that one, then I'll have the CPA in the bag. Then
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't want to so I didn't want to do just accounting. I feel like I've done, someone was telling me anyway, that I've done, like if I did a master's in accounting, what different knowledge would I have?
Mm,
Yeah, because
yeah, yeah.
SCCA is like a master's. The
Yes,
last
yes.
level is a master's. Actually, you just do research and then they can give you a master's.
Mm,
So I felt like I didn't need to do a master's per se in accounting.
mm,
So my next, and when we were studying SCCA, there's been a lot of emphasis on the okay SCCA, the I guess mission or something is think ahead, yeah.
mm,
And the focus has been really on IT
mm, mm,
and
mm.
yeah, and how the world is fast moving, like it's moving
Yeah.
quickly, and you know,
Mm,
so most of these things that you see now are going to be governed or somehow, informed by IT. So
yeah.
I now want to do IT because I think
Mm.
it's forward looking.
Yes. It is it
And
is already like we are in the future right now.
yes.
Yeah.
Like first of all, us recording this episode and we are like
I
a
know.
thousand miles apart. That in
Yeah.
itself should,
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, yeah, I want to do IT, but also I'm a bit psyched about it. Yeah, I really, really want to do it.
That's good.
Um, Also, I've had like a dream of, I don't know how old the dream is, but I've been thinking about working from home.
Mm,
Working from home, I think because of all these hours in audit, I've been thinking
mm,
of working from home,
mm, mm.
later on in life, and I know that that might not be possible if I don't have sort of a base of like IT.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
if
And
I
you can even
decided
work
to
for
like
a
have a
global company.
business,
Yeah.
yes,
You can
that
even
kind
work
of
for a
thing.
company in America and work in Uganda or
Yes,
in Europe and work
yes,
in Uganda. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So now also IT is informing the way I intend to live my life in the future.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's why I wanted to set out to do it as well.
Mm,
Yeah, I also started a course. I used to study
Madam
the course in
Courses.
oil and gas
You Manyoro, you
because
want to
our
take all
country
our
has
oil?
been
All the
because
Manyoro.
oil
I
has
think
been discovered.
every Manyoro parent is like, go and study oil and gas. This is our oil. We have to
Funny enough,
own it.
no. Oh my goodness, no. My parents actually didn't tell me to do this. In fact, they were just like,
You
"Hey,
just saw
Cathy."
the oil getting serious in Lake Albert. You are like, this car oil, I need some of it. But that's really good.
Oh
I do
Lord. Yeah.
believe honestly in Uganda, we are, this
Mm,
is a very good investment. Like
mm,
if you
mm.
study in this area and IT, those are
Yeah.
two things that we are
Yes,
that are really on the rise in
exactly.
Uganda. Yeah.
Yes, I think that they are very relevant. Not
Mm.
not even just in Uganda, even just like if
In
you
the
go to the
world.
village,
Mm. Mm.
there are people who are the people who are being employed there do not have a heart for the people there. You get what I
Mm.
mean? Like they
Exactly.
don't
They
even
come from
they
there.
can't
Yeah.
relate.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so
They're
someone
bringing
has just come from
feedstocks from
yeah,
like China,
yeah,
India, and they don't even care about
yes,
the
yeah,
environment or
they
the
really don't.
yeah,
Yeah, they don't even care about the people there,
yeah.
so
Mm.
I'm just like, I guess I can position myself uniquely to be able to help the people but also
Mm.
achieve on this other
Yeah,
side. So I've
that's
been
good.
thinking about that.
But that's good. You're
Yeah,
putting your eggs in many baskets because at the end of the day,
yes,
if the oil and gas thing can work out, like it doesn't even have to be a full-time thing. You can always be
mm.
like, I have a master in
Just
this,
a
I can be a
consultant. Yeah,
consultant. And
yes,
with
that's
that,
true.
like you said, you want to work from home. It gives you a lot of
Yes,
opportunity to say,
absolutely.
because I know you can even work for a company in the Middle East or something like that, and
Yeah,
just be like a
yeah,
consultant and yet
yes,
live in Uganda because of that experience.
yes,
So I think
yes, yes,
that's really good. Yeah, that's really good.
yeah.
I'm very, very
So
proud of you. And as you know, I am like one of the
thank
biggest
you.
cheerleaders.
You are. Thank you.
Yeah.
You are, and I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
Yes,
so much, Cathy, for making this time. And I do know that your story is going to resonate with so many people,
I
mostly
hope it
even
does.
teenagers who are
Mm,
going through tough
mm,
times, even older people. Like for me, your story
mm.
has inspired me. I've watched you grow from like a girl who was like
Thank you.
so timid, not believing in
Yeah,
herself.
yeah,
And I was
yeah,
always like, I don't get what this girl is talking about. Like, even when you're talking
yeah.
about I was fat, I'm like, Cathy was what? I don't even remember you being fat
I
at
have
any
photos. I
point.
have photos. I
Yeah,
have photos.
but you
I
see
have photos.
how we see
Mm-hmm,
ourselves when we are young. It's like
mm-hmm,
there's that age we should go through where all of us like gain
mm,
weight and we don't like
mm,
ourselves. Like me, there's a
mm,
time I was in S2 and literally everyone
mm.
was like, I was bigger than Amy. All she had was like her lower part was bigger than me because she has like a big
Mm.
hips and stuff like that. And one time, everyone at home told my mom, oh, because our great grandma had really big breasts, yeah, like she had like big breasts, and that in every generation, like from my mom's generation and our generation, everyone was always like, who is going to inherit these big boobs? So someone told my mom, not someone, many people. I was in S2, mind you. And I would tell you how my boobs look like right now is how they looked like when I was in S. Like I was practically almost the same weight as I
Uh-huh,
was. But
uh-huh,
because
uh-huh.
everyone was comparing me to Imi, who is 3 years older than me,
Mhm,
Imi was
mhm,
like tiny up, just big
mm,
down. That's it.
mm, mm,
So I always came off as the bigger one. And
mm,
it's for me, it never really bothered me. But what made me laugh
mm,
was everyone telling my mom, oh, the gene of
mm.
our great
This is
grandma
this.
has caught your daughter. You should have seen the bras my mom sent me. It was like people, I don't know the size. And then, because at that time she left when I was 13. At that time, I was
Mhm,
about 15 in S2.
mhm, mhm.
And we finally saw her again when I was in S4. And when she came, she was like, what are you guys talking about? My daughter is
What have
not
you guys
big.
been?
Yes, like there's that perception when you're in your teenage age.
Oh my
They always
goodness,
compare
I
you to
don't know.
people your age. But in many cases, like to be honest, I know you were like chubby and stuff, but I didn't see you because I've seen big people. I didn't
Mm,
see you
mm,
in that way. So for me, the
mm,
times when you'd be talking about like,
mhm.
yeah, I'm not this, I'd always be like, does this girl even know like
What
how
is she
like
talking
does she see
about?
herself? Yeah, does she see herself? Like, what is she talking
Mhm.
about? You know, I was talking to
Mhm.
Lisa the other day as well, and she was like, yeah, but like when, okay, actually, Imi told me sometime, you
Mm.
should see Lisa, she has gained weight. I looked
Mm.
at Lisa, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? This girl is not that
Yeah.
big, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
like, it's the people who are around you see you
Exactly.
gradually,
Exactly.
but the people who are
Exactly.
far away from
Mm.
you, they just see
Mm.
a normal person
Mhm.
who is growing. So
Yes.
people around you can
Yeah.
sometimes like lie. So
And I think
that's
it's
why I
because
believe
of
that.
like school. Like you see
Mm,
you're home, then you go away for like 4 months.
yeah.
So
And then
people
when
are
you come
comparing you
back,
even from how you were
yeah.
and then how you are.
And you are the
And that
eldest
thing, like,
girl in your family. So I think they were like comparing you to like I don't know, maybe
and you
people
know
your
how
age.
Mercy is. Mercy maintained her weight,
Exactly,
nice and
exactly. So I do believe they also
la la
compared you
la
to
la la
Mercy.
la la la
But
la
yeah,
la la. It
anyways,
was
now they want you to gain weight. So
there's no winning. There's no winning. There's no
you
winning.
can't
I've made
win.
peace with
We
that.
have established the fact that we cannot please
There's no
people.
winning. I
We just
actually
have to
tell
do
people
our best.
just as long as you're comfortable with you, it's
Yeah,
fine.
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you
yeah.
so much, Kathy. Just to conclude, maybe you can just speak to a girl out there, a teenager,
Mm,
even an adult
mm,
who is going through a dark time, which is
mm,
defining their life or making them think of quitting. What would you tell
mm,
that kind of person right now from your experience?
mm. Yeah. Um. First of all, let me first send some few shout outs to my mom. I'd like to thank her for being for being just her. Yeah, that was just
Mm,
enough.
mm,
Also Ivy.
mm.
Yes, and
Thank you,
my
I.
friend Eric.
Mm,
Yeah.
Hi, Eric.
Um yeah. Um to that girl I would say, and you know the thing is everything makes sense in your head.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, like when you feel that you're fat, you actually do feel like you're fat. It's not even a lot about what people are saying. It's you
mm,
also feel like you're fat.
mm,
Um, when you feel like a failure, it's probably because you're failing in something, but that's because of what is going on around you. And we
mm,
often don't
mm,
consider the what is going on around you. We just want
mm,
to, you know. So I would say I'm a Christian. I have to encourage you to pray.
mm,
Pray, pray, pray. But also, um, I would say that try to be what you want to be. So, for
mm,
example, if you think that you're fat, try to put in the work to lose the weight. Yeah.
mm, mm,
If you think that probably you're failing, I don't know, in business or what, like take it a day at a time. Try
mm,
today to be a better version of who you are, or to be what you want to be. So
yeah.
if let's say you want let me say what you want to be very wealthy, probably by
Mm,
means of a business.
mm,
Try today, like make a move. I don't know, create a company logo or
mm,
like
mm.
just make a move today. And
Just start.
365 moves at the end of the
Mm,
year is a lot of work, you
yeah.
know. It's not going to happen at once. You're not going to
Mm,
just stop thinking that okay, now I have stopped thinking that I'm fat. No. Or
one step
now
at
I've
a
stopped
time.
thinking that I'm a failure. No.
Mm, mm,
You it starts by passing one paper. I was
mm,
actually talking to someone who had been failing in SCC at office.
mm,
She failed, and then I was telling her like, just try for this paper, really, really try, and make sure like at the end of it, when we ask you, have you done your best? You know that
mm.
you have done
Yeah.
your best, and
Mm,
truly there was nothing that you
mm,
could have
mm,
added. There's
mm,
nothing more you
mm.
could have done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she passed the exam. The results came out on Monday. She passed the
Mm,
exam. And so I
mm.
think, so you see, you know, you had it
Yeah.
in you. And then
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, now I'm sick. Now I'm going to do another. And I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Start with
Excellence
one
can
and then we
really,
move to, yeah.
and then
Then
you
we
reach
move to
there
the
and
next.
start crying.
Yes, absolutely. Like she was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I passed my paper. I'm so happy. Now I'm going to do two in December. I'm like, yes. So you know, you
Mm,
already know what to do.
yeah.
Action steps one day at a time.
Yeah.
And then at the end of like you realize you're not going to do 365 different things today,
Mm,
right?
mm,
But if
mm.
you do one today, one tomorrow, one the other day, then they're going to
Yeah.
be 365 at the end of the year, and you're
Yeah.
making progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'd say make steps to be the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Pray. And also find I know it can be hard, especially in this social media era, but find the people who are your people, like people who are not there
Community.
just because I don't know things are going well. I was watching an episode and apparently they are toxic parents who anyway,
Toxic
that's
everything.
besides the
They
point.
are, yeah, they are. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, they are toxic. Even your
That
siblings.
shocked me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that really shocked me. Anyway. Um find people who are your people.
Who
In
believe
fact,
in you.
find one person who is your
Mm,
person. Then you have to be people. And this doesn't
mm,
mean that you load it over them and all your
mm,
problems, and now they're the ones receiving everything from you. No.
yeah.
It just means that find someone who sees you, who knows you, who sees your heart. Um,
Mm,
for me, that was Ivy.
mm,
For you, it doesn't have to even be a person of the same sex. It can even be a counselor, by the way. I also am
yeah.
a big fan of therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can
Yeah.
be a counselor, just someone who sees you for who you are, who
Mm,
knows you. It
mm,
would be nice to have someone who has known you for a while, because
mm,
then they probably know that probably, I don't know, Cathy has been, maybe she has been excelling, she must be going through something now or something
mm,
like that. But it
mm,
doesn't even have to be like that.
yeah.
Preferably that, but just find someone who sees you for who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just yeah, cultivate that friendship as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I am very, very proud of you. I'm sure you know that. And
Thank you. Yes,
I
I
cannot
do. Yeah.
I cannot wait to see the big things that that God has in store for you. Thank you for sharing your
Thank
story
you.
with us. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the SheCentre podcast. I am truly grateful for the opportunity to have shared Kathy's inspiring journey with all of you. Her story serves as a reminder that with courage and faith, we can overcome any obstacle and achieve success. I want to express my deepest gratitude to Cathy for her vulnerability and for reminding us of the power of hard work. It is important to acknowledge the support and belief of her friend Ivy and Cathy's mom and her family, who have been there for her through the ups and downs. And I hope that Cathy's story resonates with many of you out there, both women and men. And to all of you who consistently come back and listen to these amazing stories, I am incredibly blessed to have you as part of our community. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so that you can easily stay updated on the episodes which come up every week. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to listen to previous episodes that are sure to leave you feeling encouraged and inspired. Please join our community on social media where I regularly share content that will continue to inspire you. I look forward to connecting with you all again next week. Same time, same place. Please help me spread the word by sharing our episodes with your friends, family, and followers. Let's amplify the voices of women, break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create a network of support and empowerment. Together, we can bring about positive change and make this world a better place for all. This is SheCentre, the female podcast, where women's stories matter. I love you all. God bless.